an atmosphere of fear, that this is all about paranoia, getting everybody to be suspecting of terrorists and this and that. So we took over the meeting that day, and they said because of that, they would set up a special committee meeting where we could talk specifically just about the TSA issue. And the local news covered the story. We got some more coverage because of that. And that was a few weeks back, and just...
Stay there, come back, because now they're saying they're going to back off. But at least for now, what you've done is the model for the rest of the country. All right, Derrick Broze is our guest, and he'll give you his website before he leaves us here in about 5 minutes. You can go there and see some of the videos of these metro meetings. They're fighting the TSA takeover. You think you're just not going to fly? They're coming to your town, your area. They say they're going to end up being in rural areas soon. And they're the local political officers, and they admit their new mission is libertarians and conservatives. You are terrorists. Meanwhile, the federal government publicly funds and runs al-Qaeda now. Not even hidden. That's how dumb they think you are. So, Derrick, where are we now with this? Because from what I was reading, they claim they're going to back off on this. But from my experience, they'll do that till resistance dissipates, or they'll stage a little firecracker bomb or something to sell everybody that you've got to have TSA on the streets of Houston grabbing your genitals.
Yeah, so that's kind of what we're worried about, Alex. But definitely we're not going to give up the resistance to it. The last action that happened was the special committee meeting this past week dealing specifically with the TSA and Metro. So, again, we went up there. More of the lawyers showed up to ask questions. We were allowed to speak directly to the chief of Metro Police and to the board that was there and ask questions. And a lot of interesting things came up. For one, the press release was updated, and it said that although they said there was bag searches, none of them were done. The chief of police decided not to go forth with it. So one of the questions we had for them was who was leading this, if they approached TSA or if the TSA and DHS approached them. And they also seem to believe that they can work with the TSA and the TSA will listen to them. They promised that there would be no Metro bag searches, and we told them, but that doesn't mean the TSA won't do it, because obviously the TSA does whatever it wants. It doesn't listen to Congress. They don't listen to Department of Homeland Security.
No, they're a bunch of crooks on power trips that want to molest our children and who work for people that staged the 9/11 attacks. They're terrorists. They are the terrorist takeover army. And again, America, bag searches at bus terminals and at little bus stops on the side of the road and highway checkpoints TSA is running. That's a lie when Sheila Jackson Lee said it was the first city to be done in. It's being done everywhere. What a lying pig.
Yeah, we're not very fond of her. She's definitely behind pushing the TSA and their agenda. Another interesting thing that came up is they said that Metro was asking people for their IDs and for their bus cards to check to see if they were sharing cards, which I didn't know was illegal, and the cards don't even have your name on it, so that was a lie as well.
No, see, that's terrorism right there. The terrorism is sucking money out of us. They're the ones terrorizing us. I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, that's 100% true, and they said that the TSA was not asking anybody questions, but we have pictures that prove otherwise. That those are all available on HoustonFreethinkers.com, our article about it. People can check that out. And we asked the chief, though, what would make one of the officers choose to ask somebody questions? What would make them suspicious? And when the chief was listing off suspicious behavior, one of the things he said was that if somebody was throwing away trash that looked suspicious, the officer might come ask them questions. And so now throwing away trash is suspicious behavior, according to the Metro Police Department.
Once you put up with this, it's going to be checkpoints and body scanners. They already put body scanners in at bus terminals in areas of Florida. It's a takeover. It's checkpoints on the highways. They're buying armored pillboxes and hundreds of millions of hollow point ammo. They're coming after us. The bankers are coming after us. This is a foreign army. This is a foreign army. This is their beachhead.
Yeah, with the final action of it, Alex, was after discussing this with them for a while, the lawyers that were there also told them that if they chose to go forth with this, they would be facing lawsuits, that the lawyers were confident they could win based on them violating people's constitutional rights. So there was a lot of talk of the Constitution, and we were able to get a statement from the Metro Police Department and from Metro themselves that they would not invite the TSA back. They did say that the TSA wouldn't be back unless there was a nationally significant event like the Super Bowl or something, or maybe a false flag. And another interesting part of that is, the same day we were having this meeting, on another bus in the city, somebody held another bus passenger hostage with a gun, and the HPD had to shoot them on the bus. So who knows if that'll be used for justification to bring the TSA back.
Probably staged. Listen, God bless you. We're going to do a full interview with you on the Nightly News tomorrow night, in depth. Great job, Houston Freethinkers. We're going to be taking your phone calls this hour on whatever issue you want to raise or bring up. We are also going to be talking to Lyndon LaRouche about his intel on what's happening with Obama and the whole birth certificate situation, and his publicist for 16 plus years saying he was born in Kenya because Obama had given her that info. That's where your publicist gets that. And all the different police state measures that are being brought forward with Lyndon LaRouche coming up for 30 minutes. Then an update from the NATO summit, the police state slave training summit that's going on up in the mafia kingdom of Chicago. That is coming up also in the next hour. You know, I saw this article yesterday in the London Independent. Britain arrested in Thailand after being found with 6 roasted human fetuses. A British man in Bangkok has been arrested after Thai police found 6 roasted human fetuses packed in his luggage. Chow Hock Kwun, who's 28, of the Taiwanese origin, was held by police after the grisly discovery was made in the Bangkok Chinatown district yesterday. Reports say that 6 fetuses had been covered in gold leaf after being roasted as part of a black magic ritual. It's not clear where the bodies came from, but Chow Hong Kun is believed to have attempted to smuggle them into Taiwan. The bodies were reportedly found in a different hotel from the one he was staying at, but were in his luggage. And it goes on to say it was being advertised on a black magic website. Now, here's another one. Thousands of pills filled with powdered human baby flesh discovered by customs officials in South Korea. And, of course, you know, last year it came out, and then again this year, in federal court, shareholders wanted to block PepsiCo from using fetus cells as flavoring. And I heard this like a year ago. I thought, this can't be true. And then sure enough, it was. And the Obama different federal departments that were involved went and argued to the courts, no, the company doesn't have to do what shareholders say. So you should understand that. And there's a reason they're wanting to put baby parts in the food. It's not that I believe in this. The Illuminati believes they're corrupting you when they do this. And they believe that if they can get you to take part in something bad, even unknowingly, that it gives them power. And that's why they want to kill babies and roast them. That's actually, if you can buy copies of 500-year-old black magic books. We've actually purchased them to research them in my research of the occult. And it describes how you burn the child. And you're supposed to really burn them down to ashes, but I guess people like to eat them partially roasted and all the other things they do. And this is all done in a quest for power. And people are like, oh, well, big deal, you know. Let the major cosmetic makers have baby parts in them, and let collagen for women's lips, a lot of it come from melted down babies, and let people eat, mainly women, because they think it makes them pretty. Baby, it's like mirror, mirror on the wall, who's the fairest of them all. It's the old thing of one of Vlad the Impaler's progeny. She would bathe in blood of children. They'd chop their head off and then have the blood shoot in while she was in a bath of water. She thought it made her skin pretty. And that's pretty much the norm. The Druids, the Aztecs, every culture likes to roast and kill kids. That's why in the Bible it says, give not your children to the fires of Moloch. All those surrounding areas in Tyre, in the Middle East, they would bring the babies up and throw them onto an oven, kind of like a big oven top that you would cook eggs on at a restaurant, a big brass or metal flat top that would be on top arms of a deity. It would be holding the stovetop in its hands, and then you would just grill the babies on there. And people would bring them up. Most cultures said firstborn must be roasted. Roasting of babies is a human pastime. Every culture likes to roast babies. That is, every culture that gets this psychopath guild in control. It's like a tropism, like the way a seed gets water on it and heat from the sun. It germinates, it opens, it comes to the surface, it turns towards the light. Every society, every culture ends up manifesting an elite that want to cut the hearts out of children or burn them. And that's where you get bonfires. Bonfire comes from bone fire. That's in the mainline encyclopedia. And all over Europe, they dig up huge areas just with all these bones of children for the public roasting. but it's also a delicious meat. Again, all this is going on. This is the people that run things. And in fact, guys, will you bring me a copy of Bloodlines of the Illuminati? I forgot and don't. It's back in print. We're the folks that have it at Infowars.com, and your purchase also supports the show. But that's why I wanted to get Fritz Springmeier on about other issues he wanted to cover, about how they're turning the medical system into a tyranny. But because of all this coming up in the news, I thought we'd bring that up. But Bloodlines of the Illuminati goes over this. It was the first book I read more than 15 years ago, around 15 years ago, that said Prince Charles is direct descendant of Vlad the Impaler and thinks he's a vampire and goes around doing all this. And then now it's all over the news. Prince Charles loves Vlad, says he's a direct bloodline, owns a castle in Transylvania, and spends a lot of his time running around the woods at night because he thinks he's Vlad the Impaler. And then it turns out they are not even a German bloodline, but a Transylvanian bloodline. And then that itself goes back into antiquity. But here it is, Bloodlines of the Illuminati, Fritz Springmeier. It was out of print. We had it reprinted for Fritz, and it's available at Infowars.com, I should add. And it's just full of stuff that's over the top. I read this 15 years ago and didn't believe a lot of it. And then over the time, I kept running into pieces of the book in mainstream news. Last year, the Daily Mail reported on the royals eating body parts, and they've still got groom with a stool and all this. So, see, they're predators. They see you as an animal. You're their favorite dish. The more pain to children, the better. And they've turned the murder of children into a procedure. They grab your two-year-old, the two-year-old cries. They give it drugs, Prozac, Ritalin, other things until the child goes into convulsions. Then they put them on antipsychotics. Then the child dies. That's a good kill. That's a good kill. So that counts. And I remember Fritz talking about these abortuaries are really doing sacrifices a decade ago. And then now it came out in the news. People are getting arrested for saving the babies, eating them, doing rituals with them. They'll keep the kid alive in a partial birth, put it to the side and sacrifice it a few days later. You know, they'll take care of it just to, I mean, it's big business because they think they're getting power. They really just like to hurt innocent children. You want to take care of them and love them and build them up. They want to torture them, something fierce, while they scream and cry. But better than a newborn baby, the crying isn't enough. They like a 3-year-old or a 4-year-old who can really beg for mommy. Just like the police torturing Kelly Thomas to death, begging for daddy. That's their song. That tears your heart out. That, to a Satanist, is like ambrosia. That is the ether in which they swim. The pain of the innocents. Okay? And again, people can't handle this because of their normalcy bias, their cognitive dissonance, the mass Stockholm syndrome that we're under. The learned helplessness. But I'm here to break that. Fritz Springmeier, thank you for coming on. Shifting gears here with you today. Again, tell us about why the elite love to hurt children so much and why, from your research, every culture who gets these elites in power starts mass public murder of children. What is it about murdering children, ordering the firstborn to be killed, as ancient cultures all basically did? What is it about this?
The child is innocent, so that makes the sacrifice even more powerful. You're taking what's pure and sacrificing it. It's the supreme sacrifice. And also, it's just the concept of taking something beautiful and dirtying it. Some people, you know, if they're walking along the beach and they see a sandcastle, they have the irresistible urge to go over and kick.
Okay, your Skype cut out for a minute. Your Skype cut out. They have an irresistible urge to do what?
Irresistible urge to dirty what's beautiful. You know, if sometimes you may have noticed somebody walking along the beach and there's a sandcastle there and they can't resist walking over and kicking it. It's the concept of taking something pure and innocent and spoiling it. And we see